Hey now, hey good people. It is Keziah coming to you again for another week of Sanctuary Sunday. Um, I'm sitting in the car. I have the ocean behind me, and I was out and about, and I said, let me take a moment to record because I'm feeling that. It's a beautiful day. I'm happy to be alive inside the beauty of this day. Um, in the energy of oneness and of prosperity and bounty and peace. Um, Always welcoming that, always opening myself to be in receipt of that. I think that when we're open and we anticipate good and we cultivate the vibration of good and bounty and abundance and just love and light, and that is you know what we consume ourselves with, that we create that. It's like the ripple effect. We create that. So I really always want to be about the creation of that. So I appreciate and acknowledge um, that that's where I'm focused, right? That's where my energy is, because shoot, that's what I'm trying to be about, and not trying like working at. Mm-mm. I should say that's what I'm intending. That's my intention. Because I'm not trying. I'm not working on anything. I'm allowing, right? Which brings me to this Sanctuary Sunday. What is it about? I've been listening to Eckhart Tolle. I always pronounce his name Eckhart Tolle until I heard it pronounced, correctly. And I think there should be an accent or something. Anyway, Eckhart T. And really enjoying him, the power of now, many, many, many years after its publication, which is nice when wisdom, when spiritual knowing, it's timeless. It's timeless. So, what I've been thinking about today, or not just today, but this week and just in my life over the years, but I'm really being conscious about it now, not just in the background or on the peripheral, but embedded inside myself, is this sense of presence in the here and now, presence in this present moment, not back there, not over there, in times to come, things to happen later, but really like now. And I was thinking, how do we cultivate that inner yes to the present now? Because the mind and our thoughts are always seeking, waiting, hoping, wishing, desiring, all of that. And yet that isn't real, That isn't how we get to the root of ourselves, to the truth of ourselves. We get to the root of ourselves and the truth of ourselves by being present. What does that mean? Everyone's like, you got to be present. It means like stepping into your body right here and now. What's happening right here and now? Not what happened yesterday, not what may happen in a couple of days, but what's happening now? Where am I now? Where are my thoughts now? Because when we create the room and space to look at now, everything else falls away. The mind falls away, the ego falls away, and yeah, thoughts come back, right? It's like a meditation. Things come back because we're human, and the mind seeks to return to the forefront. But when we practice seeing that, the mind, the thoughts returning, competing for the front row seat, competing for the closest parking spot to the place where we're trying to enter into. When we see that, it is a reminder that we're not in the present. And then we can come back to our body, come back to ourselves and say, what's happening now? What happened before, it's gone. Whatever is coming, it's not coming later. It will always arrive in the now. Nothing arrives in the later. It arrives in the now. And so how do we cultivate the energy and the practice of being here now? And so that's what I sort of want to invite us, myself included, of course, to look at ourselves and to track when we're not right here, when we are somewhere else. And what does that feel like when we're somewhere else? Are we happy being somewhere else? Are we anxious being somewhere else? Are we sad? Are we longing? Where are we when we're not here? And how then can we return to ourselves in order to encounter peace? In order to be available for wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, for guidance. Because everything that's happening now possesses the information that helps us even get to later, when even in the later we will be in the now. But if we're not right here, then we're not available to knowing. It's sort of like driving a car. If you're not in the present moment of driving, you're likely distracted, and then what? Accidents happen, things happen. But when we return to the roots, like how a tree is rooted, when we return to the roots, we're able to see more clearly ourselves, our feelings, our energy, what's happening on the inside. Because that's where we're then able to create change. We can't create change in the past. That's over and done with. And in order for our future to change, it means we have to change now, because in order for my baked chicken to fall off the bone in an hour, I have to do what I need to do now to prep it. Right? I don't just have and wait for an hour and then, oh, it's done. No, it's still raw. It's still uncooked. Our energy is uncultivated if we're waiting for later. Waiting for later means we're skipping now, hoping something is different. But why hope for difference when we're responsible for creating that change in the now? So it's even like Sanctuary Sunday, right? Me taking these minutes to sit and be present enough to convey a message that hopefully someone hears and can receive, that it touches someone and reminds them of something. But in order for me to do that, I have to be present. I have to be here now. I can't sit recording thinking about what I'm going to do, what I plan to do, what I hope to do, because then I'm distracted. The meaning and purpose falls away, and I have nothing to offer. If my intention is to offer something that does something, creates something, helps someone, then it means I have to be present. And I want to encourage everyone to take more pauses in life. Everyone has this goal. Not everyone. Many people, the nature of society exists inside of this need to accomplish things, always in pursuit of the external. But what about being with the internal, the inner. Because in order to do that thing out there, we have to make sure that in here is on the path. As I say, on the PATH. If we're not on the PATH, where are we? If we're not on the path of the present, mindful as we go, listening to our thoughts, feeling our feelings, reflecting, being now, feeling our bodies, sensing the physiological responses to things as they arise. If we can't do that, everything else will feel as if something's missing, or it'll need to be redone, or it's not quite right, or it's not what I expected or thought or hoped or longed for. Well, it's because it was created, the manifestation of that thing that isn't quite right was created from a lack of presence, a lack of being here now in the moment. And it's a practice, right? Everything is a practice. We practice the practice of practicing life and all things therein. From our spiritual selves to how we operate at work, inside of our relationships, and things that are most close to us, things that are most intimate to us, relationships or whatever they are, those become the most challenging opportunities. They are the most challenging for us to actually pause and enter into ourselves and investigate ourselves and where we are, where we're going, what we're creating from where we are. And that's just really, pressing for me right now. How can I cultivate a more steady practice of being present? How can I cultivate a more steady practice of bringing my presence to the present? You know what I mean? To the now. Like I'm sitting here, I'm doing Sanctuary Sunday, I can hear the waves, the ocean, the movement, and there's nothing else. There's no later thing, there's no past thing. It's like I'm really just being here in this. And that's where the gifts are, right? That's where the beauty is. That's where the conversations are happening. The conversations aren't happening in the past or in the future. The conversations are happening now, in the moment that we hear the voices speaking. Enlightenment, our growth and expansion, it's happening now, in the moment that we're aware of where we are in the present. Not where we were, not where we're going. That's the ego attaching itself. It's the mind competing for the nearest parking spot in our lives, competing for, the front row. And the beauty of the presence is that it doesn't have to compete for anything. It seeks nothing other than itself, which is a non-self. It's just a beingness, an isness, a sense of feeling within ourselves, our oneness to all things. And when we connect to that, even in just glimpses, right? Just little moments, because things are impermanent. Nothing is just going to stay forever. We have to cultivate the practice of things staying forever, which means they're not there forever because we're not always going to cultivate them. But when we focus on that, and we feel that, and we contact that oneness, and we allow it the fullness of itself, nothing is missing. In the present moment, all things are available. All problems are non-existent. Because we're aligning ourselves with life. Not what's going to happen after I come out of the present. Oh, I still have those problems. But you see, you've left the present in order to chase future problems. But if we allow the present, then we get to enter into life's vast knowledge and awareness that will actually help us navigate the challenges or the perceived problems or circumstances Because we've all experienced circumstances, which means we all know that circumstances shift, that contrast is real, that we rise from the place of our falling, that we never stay down. The ability to stand up and continue on is always there for us, because we can always enter into ourselves and find peace. We can enter into ourselves and find presence and compassion and love and trust for self. So I'm feeling that, hopefully this makes sense. Sometimes, messages, they come and they sort of take a path all their own, but that's the beauty of being present. You don't control things, you allow things. When we're in the present, there's nothing to do. How do I know if I'm in the present? There's nothing to do. You've entered in. You've paused. You've paused the outside noise, the external hauntings, long enough to be with self. Not the mind and the thoughts or the ego and its desires, but you've paused for the silence of within. Present. So with that, I want to thank you for being with me. I always want to say thank you, to life. I'm grateful for the moments, for the present, for the awareness of the present. I am filled with life's vastness, as are you. May we cultivate the good in our lives and ourselves. May we feel our freedom and our expansion, because we are free and we are expansive. And until next time, until next week, thank you. Happy Sanctuary Sunday. That's my song. And keep your head up. Keep steady. Keep breathing. Keep going. Keep practicing. Love yourself enough to keep practicing. I'll see you on the flip. Peace out.